What's up, everyone, and welcome to the new series that I talked about yesterday. It's going to be another NBA series in NBA 2K16, obviously, and this is going to be a Legends Fantasy Draft series. Now, this series is eventually going to replace the Knicks MyLeague, or at least supplant it in terms of prominence on the channel. As you can see, we're setting up the league right here. You can look at all the settings that we did use to form this Fantasy Draft League. One note, the first game was on 9 minutes, but every game after that is going to be on 10 minutes, just like the Knicks MyLeague, as the score was a little low for my liking. So this series is eventually going to supplant the Knicks MyLeague, but for now we're just going to start it because I want to get through all 29 regular season games and the playoffs so we can play every single game and upload it before the next year's game comes out, and I won't have to fight like this year's game or anything. So basically, I wanted to do this because I didn't think I'd have another opportunity, because I plan on doing a larger rebuild the next couple years in NBA. So it's this after this month. This is probably going to be uploaded alternately with the Knicks MyLeague as the second series on the channel. Once I start uploading MLB 16 videos. So my basic idea for this was I wanted to make a squad of all underrated players using the Seattle Supersonics instead of the Oklahoma City Thunder in the league, because I didn't really want to use any current NBA team. So as you can see right here, right now, Seattle Supersonics, I'd use it's going to say 95-96 because that's what the classic team. I don't know why I didn't just substitute it in as Seattle Supersonics, but it's the same clothing and stuff, or uniforms, that's the word I was thinking of. It's the same uniforms and arena design as the 96 Sonics run to the 1996 NBA Finals, where they played the Chicago Bulls, the famous 95-96 Bulls, where, of course, Jordan and co. won 72 games. The Supersonics won 64 games that year, which was also making them only the 10th team ever to make it to win 60 plus games. So that in its own right was an underrated season, so it's kind of some sort of irony. Let's get into it. We will be picking 14th, right smack dab middle of the draft, and we are going to look now at some of the players who went in the top 13, and it left us in prime position to get the person that I was after to captain this all underrated team. As you can see, the players already flying off the board. We will be at 14th, and the most underrated player in NBA history was available, Elgin Baylor. Now I'm going to tell you some of the accomplishments of Elgin Baylor's career as we look at the stats that this roster did give him. Elgin Baylor played 12 full seasons for the Minneapolis, later Los Angeles Lakers. His career averages line up 27.6 points, 13.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists. In 1961-62 season, his third year in the league, he averaged 35 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 assists, and he followed that up the next year, scoring 38 with 19 boards and 5 assists. He made 10 All-NBA first teams. He won the 1959 Rookie of the Year. He has the third highest point per game average and 10th highest rebound per game average in NBA history, and he went to 8 NBA Finals in the 1960s and won exactly 0. And right after he was forced to retire during his he played 12 full seasons, and then he tried to play 2 more seasons after that, but was kept suffering injuries. Immediately after he decided to retire as a basketball player, the Lakers went on their record-setting 33-game win streak. That just puts the bitter at the end of his career. But he is, in my opinion, the most underrated player in NBA history, and of course he would be the perfect person to pilot the most underrated All-NBA team that I could make. Our second pick, Dikembe Mutombo. A little bit more well-known of a name as he is a more recent player. He played 9 full years with Denver and Atlanta, and parts of 9 more seasons with Philly, New York, New Jersey, and Houston. Played until the ripe age of 42. From 1993 to 1996, he averaged 12 rebounds and 4 blocks per game. He has won an NBA record 4 Defensive Players of the Years in the 95, 97, 98, and 01 seasons. He was the All-NBA third team in 1998 and 2002, and he made the All-NBA second team in 2001. He made 6 All-Defensive teams He is 7th in blocks per game in NBA history, and my personal favorite accomplishment on this list, he watched as Allen Iverson carried his team to the 2001 finals, as Dikembe Mutombo was famously a part of that 2001 Philadelphia squad. Our third pick was point guard, Tim Hardaway Sr. Tim Hardaway played 11 full years with the Golden State Warriors and Miami Heat. From 1990 to 93 with the Warriors, he averaged 23 and 10 with 2 steals a game. He is 22nd in all-time in made threes, 14th in attempts. He is 15th all-time in assists and 51st in steals. In 1990 to 1991 season, he combined with Chris Mullin and Mitch Richmond to form Run TMC, the highest scoring trio in the league, who scored 72 points per game, and he would be a perfect fit as a guy who can shoot as well as pass the ball to space the floor for Elgin Baylor and Dikembe Mutombo to work inside, as well as become an offensive option in his own right. I anticipate he will be probably our second or third highest scorer. It'll be Baylor, probably Hardaway, and then this next guy that we are about to show. Our accidental fourth pick, and the only guy currently playing in the NBA in our rotation. There are a couple others on the roster just because I needed depth guys at the end of the draft. Klay Thompson, .417 career three-point percentage, 13th all-time. He finished 6th in the NBA in scoring last season with 21.7 points per game, and he won a NBA title in 2015 with Golden State, the only champion that we've drafted so far, and one of the only ones in our roster, spoiler alert. Right there, as you can see, perfect spot-up shooter and defensive whiz to kind of be the perfect D&3 guy for our team. He can make shots from anywhere on the floor, as he is Klay Thompson, obviously, one of the Splash Brothers, the other going in the first round, as Steph Curry is one of the best players on this roster. But Klay Thompson is a perfect D&3 guy for someone like Baylor or Hardaway to pass it to, who would be wide open and make a shot, as well as create one on his own too. Just Klay Thompson can make some ridiculous shots, and he's always a guy you can have on your team, especially when you get him in the 4th round. And finally, our 5th starter, Rasheed Wallace, power forward, played for 13 full seasons with Portland and Detroit, and fun fact, there was a game in there where he played with Atlanta between being traded from Portland to Detroit. He did play one game with Atlanta, and it was a 20-point effort. From 2000 to 2003, he averaged 19 and 8 and shot 35% from 3. He won the 2004 NBA title in Detroit and made an additional finals in 2006. And this was a fact that I was unaware of, is 92nd in both career field goal makes and attempts. He's a good stretch for the team. Again, I was really looking for a lot of shooting from the guys that weren't Baylor or Mutombo, because I knew that they would be working inside if Mutombo even had a role in the offense, as it doesn't look like he really even needs to. He can just be a perfect defensive guy like Biyombo and Whiteside are for us in the Knicks MyLeague. That we would want someone like Rasheed Wallace as our stretch four, can play physical inside and is a very good defender and rebounder. Perfect 5th guy for our offense. Now it's time to turn our attention to the bench for our all underrated players. We are going to go to the most underrated point guard I am aware of, Mark Price. 9 full years in Cleveland. Between 1988 and 1993, he averaged 18 and 8. He shot almost 95% from the line. It was like a quarter of a percent lower than that from 1991 to 1993. He is a 40% career three-point shooter, and he is 30th all-time in assists per game. Very solid point guard for the Cavaliers for many years, and he tried to play with several other teams after that for parts of seasons, but just was not the same player he was in Cleveland. But still, 9 full years of elite point guard play that was really overlooked in that era of Bird, Magic, and Jordan. And I always thought that Mark Price was one of the most underrated players to play in that era, so he is perfect for our underrated squad. And we're going to get one of the most underrated players of the 70s to pair with one of the most underrated players of the 80s on our bench unit in Darryl Dawkins. Chocolate Thunder played 11 seasons in the NBA with Philadelphia and New Jersey from 1978 to 1980. He averaged 14 points per game, 8.4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. He is 8th in career field goal percentage as well. He unfortunately passed away within the last year, so condolences to him. But he did have a very solid and underrated basketball career. and he just didn't ever really get the playing time that he probably warranted. Very good defensive player, very good rebounder, more like a Dikembe Mutombo, just not as tall and did not have quite the, opportunity as he did. The next thing we knew we needed off of the bench was a D&3 guy to spread the floor for Mark Price and Darryl Dawkins. So we went after Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson played 10 years for the Orlando Magic from 1991 to 1993. He averaged 20 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal and a half. He is a 36 career three-point shooter at 36%, and he went to the 1995 NBA Finals with Penny Hardaway and Shaq, and was a very important part of that run to the finals, where the Magic were unfortunately swept by Houston, but still had a very important role on that team. Let's move on to the guy who never got the playing time that he probably deserved, Rick Fox. He played for Pitino's Celtics and Jackson's Lakers for 13 years between the Celtics and Los Angeles. He shot 35% from downtown in his career, and in the 1996 to 1997 season, he averaged 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Essentially is what Jay Crowder is now, but back then for the Celtics. And he was also part of the Kobe Shaq three-peat from 2000 to 2002. So there is that. He did play off the bench during those years, but still had a pretty good career as a D&3 guy who was quite the ball hawk. And for the final piece of our rotation, we wanted another big guy who could rebound and play decent defense, maybe put out a few putback points. We went after Alton Lister, the only player on our team who was at one point a Seattle Supersonic. 8 seasons between Milwaukee and Seattle. He also played parts of 8 more years with Golden State, Milwaukee once again, Boston, and Portland. Another Dikembe Mutombo type, played very late in his career. From 1986 to 87 season, he averaged 11.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game. An interesting stat, or metric rather, he was either first or second in defensive rating from 1982 to 1986, and he is 19th in career block percentage. Didn't really go to the advanced metrics for much, but you have to kind of, with guys like this who are really more defensive types than ever really putting up stats. And so with the draft over, here is our rotation. Now, I don't know if I said before, I may have or may not have, but I'm going to be playing every single game of this season with the Seattle Supersonics. So this rotation's really not, it's kind of take it with a grain of salt, but my general idea is I'm going to start Hardaway, Thompson, Baylor, Wallace, and Mutombo, and then my top 2 guys off the bench are going to be Price at the shooting guard spot and Dawkins at the center spot, which means we're going to move Elgin Baylor to the power forward spot and Klay Thompson in as a small forward, so we can run 2 point guards in the backcourt, and Dawkins can spell Mutombo some minutes. I might mess around with the lineups a little more beyond that, but that's going to be kind of generally what we do with the team. That's going to be our first lineup off the bench, and then our full bench lineup is going to be Price, Anderson, Fox, Dawkins, and Lister playing the power forward spot. So that's pretty much going to do it for this draft. I'm going to actually put the first game of this up before I do the first game of the Season 2 of the next MyLeague, as I'm further ahead recording-wise on these episodes because I've just wanted to play with this team so much. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys for watching. It was kind of a long video, as I did divulge quite a bit to describe why these players were underrated or maybe undervalued or maybe never even thought of. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy. We'll see you for the first official gameplay episode of the Seattle Supersonics Legend Fantasy Draft MyLeague. That's quite a mouthful. I might just put Legends MyLeague. That's what I'm going to do. Alright, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the first gameplay episode of the Legends MyLeague in 2K16. See you later.